Alright, this is Unit 2, Section 2 homework, evaluating functions, and this is the second page, 9 through 16. So we're doing the same as the first page. We are given a function in the domain, which remember domain is x, and we're trying to find the range, which is y. So on the front page we had a table. It was real nice and neat, looked easy to do, right? On here we don't have a table. It just tells us domain and it gives us some values. So we have to do the same thing. We plug in each x value into the function and we write out the range or the y values that we get from it, okay? So I'm going to do, I guess, the same thing I did on the front. Anything with a fraction, I'll just do the calculator thing, the y equals, and anything without a graph, I'll go ahead and write it out, and then we might end up using the calculator anyways. Okay, so number 9, I have my function is right here, y equals x minus 5, and it gives me 4 x values, 4, 6, 8, 10. I just had to plug those in for x, and I get 4 different y's, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do y equals, so instead of x, right, I'm replacing x with these numbers. So I put in parentheses, that's what I use, 4 minus 5. And then I have y equals 6 minus 5. Y equals 8 minus 5, and then 10. Okay, so I've plugged in all 4 of my x values for x right here. Now I just have to figure out what all of these are. Since I'm subtracting, I'm not having to multiply or do anything weird. I'm going to go ahead and just subtract these. So 4 minus 5 is negative 1. 6 minus 5 is positive 1. 8 minus 5 is 3. And 10 minus 5 is 5. Okay? Now the way we write this, or at least if it's a test that's multiple choice or something like that, this is how you will see it. So this just makes it easier. That way you see it all the time. You know what it is. When it asks for range, notice my brackets on the domain. They're these little fancy brackets like that. So I'm going to write the same kind of bracket because that's how it will look when you see this on a test. And then I just simply write my numbers. So I have negative 1, 1, 3, and 5. And then I close my bracket, and that's my answer. And that's it for number 9. All right. Number 10, no fractions, so I'm going to go ahead and write it out just so you can see. So I have y equals 3 parentheses, and then here's all my x values over here. So negative 1 plus 1, right? And then I do y equals 3 parentheses, 0 plus 1. Y equals 3 parentheses, 1 plus 1. And if you're wondering, maybe you just didn't catch it, where the plus 1 comes from, I have 3x plus 1 up here. That's my plus 1, okay? And then my last one, y equals 3 parentheses 4 plus 1. All right. Now, I can go ahead and multiply these and then add 1. This one's fairly simple. For me, if you need a calculator, please use one, because as some of y'all saw in the test, it's very easy to make little mistakes, and you go so fast you don't think about it, and then your answer becomes wrong, and then you get mad at yourself when you see it later. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Okay, now to write my answer, I do my little fancy bracket, and then negative 2, 1, 4, and 13. And that's my answer. On to number 11. Okay, no fractions, so I'm going to write this out. So we have y equals 4 minus, and then x, so parentheses. and then my first one is -8 equals, and then y equals 4 minus parentheses, my next one is -2, and then y equals 4 minus parentheses 3, and y equals 4 minus parentheses, 5. Okay, now, just in case, because I know, see, some of y'all see all those negatives and start to panic and have a panic attack. It's fine. And my camera is now, there we go. So I'm going to type these in. So I have 4 minus, and again, you can type it just like you wrote it. 4 minus parentheses -8. I get 12. 4 minus parentheses -2. 6. 4 minus parentheses, 3. 1. And 4 minus parentheses 5 is -1. So yeah, you can type those in very easily, very quickly. But again, writing it out might help. That way you don't type it in wrong by accident. And you can see what you did later if you forget. Alright, so here's my 4 answers. So I'm going to do my fancy bracket. And I'm just going to write these numbers: 12, 6, 1, and -1. Okay. Now, when you write this, a lot of people like to go least to greatest, like the smallest number to the biggest. That's fine. The order doesn't really matter as long as you have the right numbers. So if you wrote your answer this way, and let's say this was a multiple choice test, and the answer choices had it in order from smallest to biggest, that would be the same answer. Okay, so you can write it any way you want, as long as you have the right numbers. All right, 12. This one I have a fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out my calculator right here. Let's scoot all this over. There we go. Okay, so for the calculator, if you have it, is y equals, okay, I don't know why these are in here. Whoever used this last was typing in random numbers. Okay, so I'm going to type in my equation. So I have alpha y equals enter. That gives me a fraction. 3 over 5x plus 2. And just double check that it looks the same. Mine looks the exact same. So you do second graph. And just like the table that we did earlier, I want to find these 3 x values and then just write the y. So since I know my answer is going down here on this line, I'm going to go ahead and write my bracket. And that way I can just write my 3 numbers. So I want -10, so I need to go up until I see -10. And my answer is -4. Okay, then I go down to 0, 0, 2. And then down to 5. And that one is 5. And that's my answer. So again, calculator works, typing it in like we did on this one works, or just doing it by hand if you really want to practice your math skills. Either way. All right, we have another fraction, okay? I know how much y'all hate fractions, that's why I'm showing you. If you see a fraction or a decimal, just pull a calculator out, and that way you are less likely to make a simple mistake, okay? So I'm going to type in this exact equation. All right, 7 minus 1/2 x, that looks the same. Second graph, and I need to find 4. And we had some announcements in the middle of the afternoon. Okay, so I need to find these 4 x values and write my 4 y values, or my 4 answers I'm looking for. Okay, so I have my bracket right here. I'm going to go up to -12, so it's way up here. So when I go to -12, it tells me y is 13. Okay, I go to -4, y is 9. I go to 0, y is 7. And I go down to 6, y is 4. And that is my answer. So yeah, if you like doing it that way every time, just do it that way. That's fine. As long as you're doing it correctly. All right. 14, I got Another fraction, so I'm going to type this one in again. Plus 9, okay. Negative 2 over 3x plus 9, that is my equation here. That looks the same, so second graph. And this time I am looking for negative 12, negative 6, and 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my fancy bracket and go find negative 12. 17. Negative 6 is 13. And 3 all the way down 7. And I'm done. So these aren't too bad if you have a calculator. If you don't have like one of these with a table, like the ones we have at school, you can still, again, you can still write it out and just type it in using your phone or computer calculator, and you still get the answers. It just might take a little bit longer just from writing it out, but either way, calculators will help you make less errors overall. You just got to be careful on how you type it in. Oh wait, so 15, I don't have any fractions, so I'm going to write this one out. So I want these 4 x values to be plugged in to x to get 4 y values. I'm going to go ahead and do my fancy bracket down here. So I have y equals 7 minus 4. Instead of x, I now do parentheses, and then my first number is negative 3. Okay, then I have y equals 7 minus 4, parentheses, negative 1. Y equals 7 minus 4, parentheses, 5. And y equals 7 minus 4, parentheses, 9. Alright. Now, I could certainly do all of this. I could do it in my head, but again, I want to make sure my camera is in focus. Maybe. Maybe. Oh my goodness. No? Maybe. Okay. Aren't cameras fun? Alright, that's a little, no. Oh my goodness. There we go. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to type these in just one by one and get my 4 answers. So I have 7 minus 4, parentheses, negative 3. 19. 7 minus 4, parentheses, negative 1. 11. 7 minus 4, parentheses, 5. Negative 13. And 7 minus 4, parentheses, 9. Negative 29. Okay, so all I have to do now for my formal way of writing my answer is I write my numbers right here. 11, negative 13, negative 29. And that is still blurry. There it goes, 15, and we're done with that one. And I thought I had enough colors. Let me get one more to make it all different. All right, 16. I have a fraction, so I'm going to type it in here. Not that I can't do them, it's just I like to show different ways to do these just in case. That way if you're struggling, in my opinion, it's always easier to use a calculator, especially for fractions, because fractions are very easy to mess up on. X minus, okay, so we have 1/4 x minus 5. Okay, second graph, and I want just these 3 numbers. And so I have my fancy bracket, and I'm going to start with negative 8. Negative 7. Negative 4 is negative 6. And 12. I'm going to go way down. Negative 2. And we're done. And that is it for this page, so that is it for this video.